Hello, everyone. We are live yet again, and this is going to be one of my authors' chats of the week. And as I let this platform start notifying people and I will keep my eye out for my co-host this week, and we'll get things rolling in just a little bit. We'll be talking about books, writing, publishing, and everything in between. So if you like reading, you like writing, let's hang out. Now, as I said, there I see here. Let's see if I send the invite out. Okay. Let's make sure my volume's on because usually I have it down low throughout the day. Either that or it's blasting loud. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Hold on, there we go.
Yay, I can now see you. Fantastic. How are you?
I am good, and yourself?
I'm good. I will forewarn you, at least on my end, it looks like my service is a little low today, so if I'm glitchy or if I repeat a question, it's just because there may be a little lag or something.
I think that's everywhere. I'm having the same issue.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Are you in North Carolina by any chance?
No, but actually, I'll come back to that because I saw your pre-post about this and saw that there is a event in the Carolinas, which I would love to learn more about. I'm actually in Georgia, so not that far.
Not too far.
Yeah. So with that said, what I'll let you do is we'll begin with you introducing yourself and what you write. It's pretty conversational. I don't know if you've ever listened to any of my lives, but if anybody in the feeds post in, a comment or a question that's bookish related, usually I try to bring that to light because if this platform is nice, I'll try to repurpose this on my YouTube channel at a later date. With that said, I think all depends on how someone joins the live will depend if I see them both, if I only see mine, etc., so on. So if I'm missing things, feel free to make note of them because it may be just the fact that I don't see them. So
Okay.
outside of that, I'll turn it over to you. So introduce everybody, since you're my co-host, who you are and what you write.
Well, hello. My name is Jeanette T Queen. I actually write fantasy. I call it cozy fantasy. My debut came out last year, The Last Pendragon. Book 2, Rise of the Pendragon, is coming out in October. I do not have that cover to show you yet, but it is beautiful. It is Arthurian themed, but a modern day twist where I have a young woman who is chosen by Excalibur to save the realms. Only she has no clue what she's doing. She didn't know magic existed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you follow her. It's kind of coming of age as she grows into learning about supernaturals. I've been told that I have thrown everything but the kitchen sink into this book. We've got Hot Santa. You have to read it for it to make sense because everybody's like, Hot Santa, what? But yes, it works. He's a former Knight of the Round Table. And like I said, book 2 is coming out, so the journey is continuing in October.
That's fantastic. It actually works really well, one, because I love anything to do with myths and legends, and the Arthurian legends are a part of that.
Same.
But I literally earlier today for my lunch break finished rewatching, and I know it's a very different kind of retelling, but the King Arthur movie that came back out in what was it, 2004 or something?
Mm-hmm.
And so just on theme. But so what made you decide to do kind of a retelling or a rehashing of Arthurian legends for your debut?
I just have always been drawn to that story. King Arthur, Guinevere, Morgana Le Fay, Merlin, the magic, everything about it. The knights and the round table, swords fighting, that legend has everything you could possibly want. It was begging for a retelling.
I definitely agree. And I do love when you showed that first cover with the hand gripping the sword, because again, it immediately is ties into the themes of your book. But okay, let's go and actually talk a little bit more about your main character. What made you write? You said it was a female, correct?
Elizabeth, yes.
So what made you decide to go that route, and how did you develop Elizabeth's character?
She's been living in my head for well over 20 years. I started it I'm 48 now, but I started it when I was in my early 20s before husbands and kids and everything. I wrote 4 chapters of it, and God bless my aunt. She has read every chapter I've ever written of this story, and she actually had those 4 chapters.
Wow.
It has grossly changed since then. It's a completely different story. But it was always in the back of my mind. I've always been an avid reader. I love fantasy. I love adventure. I love a strong female character. But I didn't see myself as a writer back then. But I was like, I would love to see this story. And it just never happened. So fast forward, 20 years. I'm actually in school. I went during COVID. I went to get my hypnosis certification because I'm a professional hypnotist. And during a meditation class where I was being taught to teach my clients how to meditate, the first 7 chapters of what is now The Last Pendragon just kind of downloaded and would not leave my head until I wrote it. And then once I got those 7 chapters, I'm like, well, I've come this far. I might as well finish it.
That's exciting. And I like stories that, as you said, live in your brain for a while. I definitely have done that with some of my books, and one of my book series that I'm working on finally now, I kind of had been poking around with it since I was probably 7 or 8, but it's drastically changed too. But it is kind of fun to see, or how those characters, as you said, live in your head rent free, and it's now time for them to pay up.
Exactly.
I love that. So what was it? You said you were in the class and you had those 7 chapters that you couldn't get out of your head. How did you develop the rest of the story? It's because there are definitely people who like to plot everything out.
I'm a pantser. I write it. It just kind of it's almost like channeling. I don't know how another way. There's no other way to write it. I'm a pantser. I fly by the seat of my pants. I do not know what's happening until I actually type it onto the page. The characters just kind of take over. And for book 2, I was like fighting where they were going with it because a character kind of goes a little on the dark side, and I'm like, oh, my readers are not going to appreciate this. And it was like I was almost finished it when it finally dawned on me why they were doing it. I'm like, oh, that's why you guys are going that route. Okay.
No, I definitely have had those moments too, and it's always a interesting thing. It's hard to describe to someone who hasn't had one of those kind of creative, oh my, moments, be it writing or art or however you're expressing yourself. But yeah, when the characters start coming alive and you're kind of either scratching your head or trying to decide, do you need to wrangle them back or not? And then all of a sudden you have that eureka. That is why this is happening. And I definitely get that. In my first book, my debut book, he was a character who wrote himself into being. And I kept thinking he was going to go away, but he's kind of appeared and stuck with it. And throughout the whole series, he was there as one of the bigger characters. And then only in the very end of the final book, I was like, this is why you are here the whole time. I understand now.
I co-host a live show Wednesdays and Fridays with dark romance writer Stacey Rush, and we actually have a regular, one of her girls, that comes on, and every time we interview another author, she always asks the same question because I think she thought Stacey and I were nuts, but she's always asked the authors, do you hear the voices of your character in your head? Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, yes. So yes.
Yeah, they talk to you, or at least kind of communicate with you in some way, even if it may not be the voice dictating their story. There's something there where all of a sudden they come alive.
The pictures in the head, you see the scene play out 100%.
You know exactly how they would act in these certain situations, and it's wild. Mm-hmm. It definitely is. So how many POV characters do you do? I, at this moment in time, it will change soon, have always written with one character that is the POV character, and you go on the journey wherever they go. But how about you? Are you multiple, single?
In this series, it's one. You're in her head. I think it's officially called third person POV, but you're limited because it's her head. You're following along with her. So you only see her perspective. However, I did just start I'm taking a break from this series temporarily to write another book that's wants to be told, and I'm going to try to do 2 POVs.
Nice. Yeah, it took me a long time before I branched out, because that was just what I was comfortable with, was the one POV, and it didn't matter which series. And I had very big casts of characters in all of my series, but I still followed one. And finally challenged myself. I was like, okay, let's try 3. And I was like, how is this gonna work? And I was like, okay, that wasn't as bad and as terrifying as I thought it would be. So I'm gearing up to do some world building for some larger POV stories. And again, I can feel that like that heartbeat kind of getting a little faster. I'm like, will this work? Will this work? We'll have to start over again. So with your upcoming book, you said coming out in October. Do you have a date yet?
October 10th. 10/10.
I like that. Are you planning to have more books, or is this a duology, or do you know how far this is going to go?
It was supposed to be a standalone many, many years ago. I believe there's going to be 4 in this series, at least 4. And then I also am planning a novella, a spinoff novella for Hot Santa. Everybody loves him, and they want his story with Mrs. Claus. So I do have his backstory was originally in book 1, but my editor's like, you got enough for 3 stories in this book, so I had to take some stuff out. So he's going to get his own little book.
I like that. That would be a great holiday release. Like if you
that was my plan for this year, but it didn't happen. So my goal is for next year. Yes,
it's okay. Every year I always feel confident heading into a year that the timing, I've finally given myself enough buffers and I have everything planned out, and then it never seems to happen that way. And things always get shuffled off, especially towards the end where I'm like, oh, I was going to have that one other thing. And then I was like, nope, that's next year. I don't want to rush it, but I also want, people to be able to enjoy my stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So I like that. The Hot Santa and Mrs. Claus get their standalone. So I bet that's going to be a lot of fun. And
Mrs. Claus, and not to give too many spoilers, but Mrs. Claus, you find out in book 1, was also a Knight of the Round Table because, why not?
Okay, so you've been saying like they were. So are these people somehow reliving, reborn, reincarnated from like the first interim, or are they like?
Oh no, they just became Santa and Mrs. Claus. So he had to hang up his knightly duties and become Santa Claus.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
My girl Stacy's she's my co-host that I was telling you about, Miss Stacy Rush. She's like, I need more Riker. That's one of my main characters.
I like that. And but yeah. It's fun to see fan favorites. It's, the words. It's fine. It's the end of the day. But it's fun to see fan favorites because sometimes they're not what you expected. Or it's like the character that you're like, ooh, everybody's going to love. Not to say they're not likable, but it's the obscure one that you didn't realize that everybody's going to just latch onto. So it is always fun.
Well, Santa has like a very small part. He's not even called Hot Santa in the book. He just happens to have like a shirtless moment with a sword. So people dubbed him Hot Santa. And I almost took him out of the book because I was like, people are not going to understand Santa Claus as a knight. But people love him. Like he is that character that people just like, oh, I love him. So...
Hey, I've seen some interesting retellings, reiterations of the idea of Santa Claus recently, be it in literature or even movies. Like I've seen some, especially in the darker side, like almost like the horror side, Santa Clauses too. So Santa could be, why not? Why not be the attractive like heartthrob?
He's a silver fox. He's a silver fox.
And I also see the comments saying, "Oh, but Santa works out." You would think about it, like you have to deliver all those presents and you're steering the reindeers. If you've ever kind of steered any kind of vehicle with horses or, it's not as easy as you think. So, I can see it. You gotta work out. So also let me ask, since you said you co-host, how did you get involved, you and Stacy get involved with coming up and, having your, whatever you want to call it, live stream podcast, whatever you want to call it.
I started out solo like you, for probably a little over a year. I was doing my own called Live with Jeanette, and I would just go random whenever somebody wanted to go. We would schedule it. She's like, and I had interviewed Stacy a couple times, and we always had really good chemistry. We met at a book event. We both popped our book event cherry, as they say, at Booked in Chaos last year. And it was, so it was just kind of a shared experience. Well, we met up again this year at Lucky and Lombard, which was in Chicago in May. And again, we just always have really good chemistry. And she was a little drunk and I was a little tired, and we were at the after ball. And we were talking about when she doesn't remember this, by the way. It's funny. She doesn't remember this. And we were just chatting about like when we would see each other again and whatever. And we're like, oh no, it's like going to be like a year. And she's like, we always have our lives. And then she's like, we should co-host a live together. And I was like, we should. So we booked before the ball was over. We had already decided the name of the show, which is called Getting Down and Dirty with Jeanette and Stacy. We had booked our first guest. Like, it was just crazy. And then we decided, okay, we're going to go live every other Friday. Well, it is now every Friday, every Wednesday, and we're booked out to the end of the year.
Wow, I love that. And no, I was going to say, people love these kind of live stream and chats and everything, because it's a great way for people to engage or ask questions if they're, the writing side or even the reading side, if they're curious about books. It's a great one to get this kind of that face-to-face interaction that a lot of the other platforms don't have.
And we bring everybody in the bookish community. We've had cover models, we've had bloggers, we've had reviewers. I mean, if they're in the bookish community, we want to talk to them. So, we bring everybody up, and we just have a really good time. Like, I'm the fantasy author, she does dark romance, so we balance each other out.
Yes, and that's always kind of nice too. So you have different kind of perspectives, based on maybe the writing techniques that vary between, maybe a high fantasy or urban fantasy, and then again the romance side of things. But that is kind of neat. And let's actually talk about events. Since I came back from Dragon Con this past weekend, which is one of those big events, and I kind of hub in the bookish side of things there. But when did you start getting involved with going and attending various book events, since there are a lot out there now?
There are, and I try not to do too many. I try to do ones that I know people. Like I said, I just did my first one last November, and I actually helped organize that one. And then I know Dee Williams, who does Lucky and Lombard, so I went to that one. But I like to try to find more local ones. I'm still a newbie author too, so I don't get accepted to like the big ones. But there's time. But I try to stay more local, and I always try to find ones where I have friends going, because you want to go where you're going to know people.
It's definitely fun to have friends, or at least someone to kind of at least hub initially with until you start meeting more people.
Exactly.
Because I am an extreme extrovert, but writing inherently is kind of an introverted job. And so anytime I get to go to the events, I'm like, let me meet all the book people.
And it's like you're at home. Like, the book community is just so amazing. Like, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx myself. I have not had a bad experience. Like, I always have. It's always fun.
Yes, and I'm the same way. And since, again, I live in Georgia, I try to go to a lot of the local ones. I haven't made the effort to cross state lines yet for an event, but Asheville is very nice. And you were mentioning that, like you said, this coming weekend is one in one of your prior posts.
Yes, it's called Chaos in the Carolinas, and it's in Asheville, North Carolina on Saturday.
Ooh, nice. Is this a weekend one or a day event?
It is a weekend one, but it's only a 1-day signing, but they're like doing a meet and greet. Now I live only an hour and a half away, so I'm just coming in on Saturday. Stacy wants to know if you're going to Roar. Do you do Roar? I think it's.
I don't know Roar.
That one is, I think.
I have my notepad. That's why I'm looking down.
Where was that at? I got invited. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it because there's like a timing thing. Where is it this year? It was in, I can talk. Because of the C. It's in Georgia.
Columbus. Okay. No, I was going to say,
Columbus, Georgia.
I think, the only other one I have booked this year, because kind of like you, I try not to overdo it at this moment in time. I think max I would do like one potentially every other month, unless there was something really big that I'm like, okay, I want to try whatever. But
I want to say it's July of next year. It's like usually in the summer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the last one I'm doing this year is Multiverse Con, and that one's kind of outside Atlanta in Peachtree City, but it's this tiny little but very charming fantasy and sci-fi focused one. So
See, I want to find. I'm like on the romance circuit, and my book is fantasy, so I'm looking for the more fantasy themed events.
well,
Stacy said it's called Romance Atlanta. Oh, and it's in June.
okay.
I knew summer.
That's probably why it's not on my radar, because I don't write romance at this moment in time. I have a book written, which
It doesn't matter.
well,
It doesn't
romance.
matter what you write.
Okay,
They take
okay.
everybody. They like to, even though I have found that even though they technically are romance,
Mhm.
if you got fantasy, mystery, horror, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
want to represent each genre.
That's fair. I mean, I also went to a steampunk convention at the beginning of the year, and I don't write steampunk, but, you know, if you want to diversify, I am on the high
Exactly.
fantasy side. So, always good to know about them. But yeah, I'm trying to keep my ear, out there for a lot of these, at least regional ones, and trying to now figure out if I should pick and choose and rotate and learn more, because it is so much fun to go to these live events. You meet readers, potential readers, I should say. You sell books if you get the chance. You're dealing with other people in the book community, which is great networking, and you're building friendships. So
100%.
I absolutely like it. So I hope you have fun at the Chaos in the Carolinas this week.
Me too.
Yeah, so what has been one of your favorite experiences since beginning the writing journey? And I know for you this has been coming long time to even get to the point of releasing your first book. Mine took about 10 years. Yours took a little longer than that. But to get to that point and then now where you are, like, has there been any moment or moments that you're like, wow, that was really kind of neat?
The very first time I saw The Last Pendragon, when I opened it and had that physical copy in my hand, that's one of those moments that is just indescribable. And somebody had warned me to record it. They're like, even if you never post it, record it for yourself. And I'm so glad that I did, because in that moment, it's just like, it's almost like having, your kid, like you're holding your book for the very first time with your name on it. And so that's a very memorable moment. And then anytime I get to meet anybody that has read my book and, or even recognizes me from TikTok or something, it's crazy. And it's like, okay, yes, thank you.
I was on a panel this past weekend, and someone was asking, I think all of us, like, how would you define success as an author? And every author is very different. Success could be getting your book to be a movie. It could be selling 1 million copies and all stuff. And, I acknowledge those would all be cool. On the other hand, for someone to cosplay as one of your characters at an
That
event,
would be amazing.
that would be cool. At least I think so. So
I'm just happy when it gets published.
Okay, yeah.
When you finally hit the publish button and it's done, I'm like, yes.
Well done, because then you have to do the start.
Oh yeah, then you can do the marketing. But when it's at least out there and people can finally get it.
Yes, the last Pendragon. I love that. But yes. Sorry, I had a question. Oh, for you, what would be an idea of being a successful author, however you define that? What would be something that you're like, I want to achieve this? This would be really cool.
I mean, obviously the dream is for the books to pay for themselves, where, you get more back than what you're shelling out.
Mm-hmm.
But just, I don't know, like I said, just to have readers come up and say that they've loved the story, or like my friend Stacy, she is not a fantasy reader at all. And my book has no spice, and she loves her spice. And she came back, she's like, I loved it. I can't believe I loved it, but I loved it. So just little things like that, where somebody got your story. They read the book. I've had that a couple times, but you know what? It never gets old. And to me, that's the ultimate success. If I'm bringing joy to somebody, I mean, I'm a fantasy writer, so my goal is to take you out of your normal everyday life and let you experience a little magic. So if I can do that, then that to me is a success.
So let's talk about magic, because there's so many ways, and some of them are very, very, very creative of magic or magic systems. So what kind of magic is in your books?
A little bit of everything, but mainly elemental. My main character, she realizes she's not as human as she thought she was when she starts shooting dragon fire out of her hands, and she doesn't even know what it is. She's like, "I'm not a dragon. How am I shooting dragon fire?" So that kind of starts her journey of trying to figure out why she can do this, where, only normally people that have a dragon, they're dragon shifters, can harness dragon fire. So that kind of starts the journey. Then she does learn that she has other elemental powers. She meets the elf king Riker, who Stacey mentioned, who kind of trains her on tapping into her more elemental magic. So elemental is the main source, but then we also have sorcerers, and Merlin's mentioned, and wizards, and that kind of magic too. There is a whole little section where it describes the different aspects of magic that are in the book.
I like that. I definitely like that. And elemental one is something that's it's classic, but it can be done and redone in so many ways. And
So
it's
many
there,
ways.
they don't have to like hyper explain it if you don't want to, but it is definitely an approachable one and very powerful, depending on, the book and the magic caster, I guess. But
Yes.
yeah, I was gonna say, if I just one day started sporadically shooting dragon fire from my palms, that would be a little
A little concerning, yes.
but I'd be like, why did you wait till now?
Something spurs it, of course, a high tense moment.
Ooh, okay, interesting. So, can I know who is your antagonist or antagonists?
Overall, like I said, I have thrown everything in this book but the kitchen sink. So I've got a little biblicalness to it as well. So Lilith, the Jewish Lilith that was the first wife of Adam, she's the overall baddie, but in book one, it's her second in command, Dimitri, who is a vampire,
Nice.
is the main villain for the first book.
Nice. I like that. Like I said, a little bit of everything. Vampires.
I got Santa, I got vampires, dragon shifters. Seriously, you name it, I've got it. Sorcerers, they're in here.
Dragon shifters? I love that. I mean, who doesn't like a dragon? I am obsessed with dragons, so,
I've got a Prince Drake is my dragon shifter, so I'm just saying.
Ooh, I like that. So, also, let me ask, if you were going to write in any other genre, is there one that you would be like, okay, if I couldn't write fantasy, what would you choose?
Well, I've tried others, but then they always end up having like a magical element. Like I'm currently writing a mafia, but it's a fantasy mafia where the head of the five families is a dragon shifter. And it's his daughter that's got to kind of go out and save. So she's the dragon shifter and she hooks up with the fae. Very early stage. And then I also have a witchy rom-com that I've started as well. So, but I don't think I can write out of the fantasy genre. I've tried. Like I did have a contemporary romance idea based on the neighborhood I grew up in and the neighborhood kids and like, what if so-and-so got with so-and-so? And I might do that, but I don't know. It just, my brain always ends up coming up with some kind of magical element.
You and me. I've always considered this question, and maybe sci-fi, maybe apocalypse, definitely something that's still not necessarily Earth. Yet I could totally see myself just shifting back into a magical realm because that's where I want to be.
Exactly. I mean, I'm a fantasy writer. That's what I like to read. That's what I like to write.
Exactly. I mean, not to say there isn't magic in the world, but I would love to be like full, like everything, magic.
Yes.
That. So, what have there been any particular books or movies or shows that have influenced you to go this route? Being a fantasy lover.
I mean, obviously, back in the day, Twilight, when Twilight first came out is when I really discovered I love vampires. But Lord of the Rings, I never read the Lord of the Rings books, but back in like I grew up in the 80s, they had The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but it was a cartoon version.
Yes.
And I loved that. And I think that might have been like my gateway into fantasy because I absolutely loved it. But once you watch the cartoons, like I was like, I don't need to read that big book. I like the cartoons.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, I remember really early on watching The Hobbit. It took me a while to realize that I had missed the fact that there was the same people, well, kind of, sort of. They all related a little bit.
Yeah.
Who's the Lord of the Rings in animated form, but the Last Unicorn and them and all these kind of like darker versus Disney. I always was drawn to more the darker, magical base.
Never ending story. I mean, I'm an 80s
Yeah.
kid. The never ending story. I mean, Goonie, like, yeah, that was my childhood. So,
Yeah.
Star Wars. I mean,
Absolutely. I was gonna say Dragonheart was one whenever it came out that I was like, ooh, this is my dragon. This is Draco.
Yes.
That Draco is like my end all be all dragon right there. So I definitely love that.
100%.
Now, outside of the fun things of actively writing, which every writer wants to write, we really do. There's 1,002 other things, especially if you're an indie author, you have to kind of do as well. And trad people are doing more and more their own marketing. How do you find your readers? I mean, obviously you're here on this platform hanging out, but like, how do you find your readers? And do you have any strategies of getting your book in front of new eyes?
I do the videos. I do book reviews also for other indie authors, and I have found that by helping uplift other indie authors, that their readers find me as well. So just by doing my interview show or something, even if it's not somebody of my genre, they see that I'm helping them, and then they want to give back. It's all about paying it forward. It's one. There's so many readers out there that there's enough ground to share. So by helping each other, you're helping other readers find other authors.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I do these kind of weekly features, because it's just fun, one, for me to talk and engage with other people. Again, extrovert, introverted job, extrovert. But also it's just a nice way to kind of cross promote and hopefully get, you in front of new people. And the same thing is when the other thing I do is post blogs. And they're like these interviews with other authors that are written form. Because not every author is on Book Talk. I don't know why.
Yeah, right? Why not?
but not every author is. And so that's another option that, it's just, I do it for free. I do that. It's for me to help give back to the community, because I'll say it 1,000 times and +1, +2, whatever. If it wasn't for all y'all, I wouldn't be here.
Exactly. And like I said, I mean, I had a lot of help along the way I wouldn't even have had my book published if I didn't know about if I didn't come across TikTok and find Book Talk I didn't know what an indie author was 2 years ago. I didn't know there was another way besides trad publishing. So it really helped me. I wouldn't be an author if it wasn't for this platform. So I definitely want to give back. And I'm a talker. I like to talk. I mean, it's weird for me to be on this side, but I get to hang out with my friend Stacy twice a week, and we get to talk to bookish people about what we love, books. So it's a win-win. They're getting a platform, and then their people are being introduced to us as well.
So are you on other platforms, or is BookTok like the only, place you hang out? Because I always advise people who are new to like pick maybe 1 to 2 socials before you expand. Don't do as I do. I am the queen of FOMO, and I'm like on all of them.
TikTok is my home. I spend most of my time here. It's where I'm comfortable. I do have a Facebook or Book of Faces. I don't know. I'm sorry. Book of Faces. I have a reading group, but my PA runs that.
Yeah, like that.
I am trying to build up my IG, the gram, and Stacy and I will do lives there because on TikTok they have to have like 1,000 or whatever to go live. If somebody doesn't have that over here, you don't need that many people to go live over there. So we'll do a live over there just to help get them exposure, even though we don't have as big a following over there. But we're trying. We're building up our following over there. I'm on Threads, but I don't know how that works. I'm pretty sure whatever I post on my IG goes to Threads automatically anyway. So it's mainly those four. I also do have a Discord, but that's mainly like to talk to other authors and my read. I do have like a reading group there.
Yeah, I recently started a Discord, though I'll be honest, like I haven't really utilized it. I have it. It's set up. There are a few people who have been so nice to join, but like yeah.
I have it from like my art team, and again, God bless my PA. She's only been with me for about 2 months, and I do not know what I did before I had her, but she's kind of taken over that for me too.
That's great. Yeah, I was gonna say finding a good PA or VA, depending on how they call themselves. Yeah, that can be a lot of help. And how is that kind of relationship building out for you? Because what made you decide I'm going to hire someone or get some extra help, along that route?
I knew that I needed help with the arcs. Like I knew I was getting ready to have another book release and I just needed that a little assistance. Like I don't want to be the mean person that says you need to read it or I'm booting you out of the team. So I wanted somebody to do that. And then my PA came highly recommended by another author friend of mine who's like, I can't live without her. And then it turns out she's also the PA for another couple of my author friends. So it actually works out really good. And she really helps for our lives. Like Stacy has her team and then I have my PA and they come in our live and they take notes and they they're there. They're like our assistants behind the scenes while we're doing our lives too.
I might need to find this your PA
Right?
too.
You don't realize you need one until you have one. And then you're like, where have you been all my life?
No, yeah, I was going to say, and again, one of those, depending on, with PAs, so publishing, I'm just going to say the words in case people don't know, publishing assistants or VA virtual assistants, but yeah, I was going to say, depending on, again, on how many places you're trying to be active on, if you're doing it all by yourself, again, it's a lot. And a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of mental, stuff, and again, writers want to write, so everything you're doing that's keeping you away from writing, it's that give and take, but you still need to do that marketing. So
Yes.
I might poke you on that one later and be like, do you have a recommendation? Because yeah, that can be such a great help. And any author who has a good relationship with their PA or VA, yeah, they say like you, what was it like before then? Can't remember.
I don't even want to remember. Like I don't even want to remember.
Yeah, it's a wild thing, but that's great that you're able to get to the point to get help because some people don't know when or how or to research.
And I'll be honest, it's not nearly as expensive as you think it is. I mean, you've got to do your research, but you can find good ones that want to, but like my girl, she's got different price points depending on what you need her for.
That makes
And
sense.
it's affordable. Like, so.
And worth it, it sounds like.
Yes, 100%.
That is the best part. But yeah, okay, cool. So let me also ask, since the hour is moving on, and there are always questions that I want to make sure I ask. One, because if I repurpose this on the YouTube channel, I'll put all your contact information that I can find down below, so people can hopefully continue to find you going forward. But for anybody also listening here, and I already asked one, which was where we're outside of book talk, are you? By the way, do you have a newsletter or a website or anything like that?
I do have a newsletter, which the schmink is in my smile, or you can go to my website, JeanetteTQueen.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter there as well. And I try to remember to do it I try at least once a month, but I'm not going to like spam you crazy. And then while I have a release, after release, you might get it like once every other month.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to do mine once a month, kind of like you said, like I don't want to spam unless there's like really something important, then maybe I'll do a secondary one, but I usually say this is a special edition because of blah. But yeah, I don't want to be spam, but I also want to be regular enough that people are like, oh yeah, I forgot I was, I don't want them to totally forget that.
I want to keep them up to date at what's going on the writing journey, what I got going on. So yeah.
One of the cool things that I started doing this year, because the platform that I use to host my host website, I use MailerLite, and one of their updates they did, they started doing these polls and kind of the questionnaires that you can kind of embed, and using those functions, I started getting my newsletter group to co-write a story throughout the year.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
prompt, give it a couple sentences, give them multiple choice. And then whichever choice is voted the most, plug that in as the next part of the story, then write a few more, sentences, paragraphs, give the next prompt. And so we're all co-writing a story. But it's a fun way to also...
I love that. That's a way to keep them engaged. Love that.
Interact.
I might steal that idea.
You do. Because, I wasn't my own. Someone else passed it along to me, and I was like, this is brilliant.
Well, we don't gatekeep here. We don't gatekeep, so yeah.
Exactly. Brilliant stuff. But yeah, just ways to try to, again, continuously engage with your readership or followers or whatever. Just fun things. You can think outside of the box sometimes.
Yes.
But, okay, so back to the important questions. What formats is your book available? Paperback, hardcover, audio, ebook, that kind of thing.
The Last Pendragon is available on hardback, paperback, Kindle. It is on Kindle Unlimited, and it does have an audiobook that's on Audible, Apple, and Amazon. Rise of the Pendragon arcs are getting ready to go out tomorrow. But so it's going to be also on KU, Kindle. It will be paperback and hardcover. It'll be a little time before I get that audiobook done, but again, it's just coming out, so.
That kind of answered the part two of that question was, are you widely available or exclusive more or less through Zon? Do you sell direct with the KU? So obviously ebooks are exclusive. Sounds like, are you going through just ACX then? So you're kind of
Yes.
So
For that one, I might change things up for book 2. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see about funding too, because an audiobook is not cheap.
It's not. It is not. But forewarning, I didn't know this because all my audiobooks, at least the earlier ones, because I've been trying to catch up with my 3 series, but if they're exclusive, obviously, depending on the rights, like if you're doing the 50-50 shared thing, then you're stuck, contract.
For 7 years.
7 years, yes. If you pay outright but are exclusive through them, they give you the higher price. But if you move it out there, you have one choice to move it. But once you move, you can't move back. Mm-hmm. Different than KU, which you can go that back and forth. So I was just like, oh, that's kind of neat. But what if I don't want to? Anywho, the background of the publishing thing. So for your print books, are they just on Amazon? Do you sell any direct? Well, it sounds like you go to events.
I have an Etsy shop called Jeanette T Queen Books where you can get signed copies, and it comes with all the character art and whatever swag I happen to have lying around. It just gets thrown in there. They get wrapped and wax sealed, so it comes real pretty like a present. I do the book events. I am thinking about possibly moving from an Etsy shop to a website. Right now, my website does not offer where I can sell it there. But because I have the Etsy shop, or someone can message me.
Yeah, no, I started with an Etsy shop for a number of years, and then last year made them move to sell direct through my routing it through my website kind of thing. But yeah, I like always having that option, be it, again, the Etsy side of things or the website. I feel like having it on my website makes it look a little more professional, but that's
my plan.
Personal thing. People who want your book are going to still want your book. I don't know.
Plus, Etsy charges, their fees just seem to keep going up and up and up. So, and I want to keep things within. I want my readers to be able, I don't want to charge them too much. I want them to be able to afford it, but I want to be able to send them the book and all the swag and stuff and not have to pay outlandish fees. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I just saw Shopify. Yeah. That's kind of what my website, if you click shop, it sends you to my Shopify storefront. And then using the book funnel, that's how I distribute digital stuff now. So the ebooks and the audiobooks, and finally figured out now, because I can do that, I can sell digital stuff at events.
Nice. See, I'm still new at all this, so I'm learning as I go. So,
well, I published my first book in 2016. Only like a few months ago, figured out, I can actually sell digital versions of my books at live events. What? My mind is blown. So, things you learn. But yeah, you can, as long as you have the rights to do so. Obviously, if you're in KU, you can't do that until you move your books out of KU because of contract rights. But theoretically, if you ever do kind of change things up or, do 50-50 depending on your book.
I'm gonna test the waters with my Mafia, because that's gonna be a standalone. I'll keep my series on KU.
Yeah.
And just I'm a new author, and that's how people, a lot of times people don't want to spend the money on a new author to check the book out. So that's KU's a good option. That way they don't feel like they're really spending any money to see you or test the waters, basically.
Yeah, and I did see a question about where to find our stuff, and through the links, on our profiles.
In the Schmio, yeah.
And you'll definitely route, to where we can find the Etsy or via my own bookshop. And I do have a TikTok shop, but I've never been successful with that.
I did. I sold but I just never was. I think I sold 3 books on there, and one of them they didn't notify me, so I didn't even know that I had sold a book until I was like scrolling through and it said 1 book sold. I'm like, what? Wow. So I'm like, you know what? It wasn't even worth the hassle, so I just took it down.
Yeah, I still have mine that I'll post and probably like, yeah, for whatever reason, even when people find me through that, they still want to buy through my website or buy personally. And I was like, I don't care.
Exactly.
I'll make it work, whichever route. But yeah, just fun. That was a fun little author side of our chat, clearly. The things the things you learn. Anyhow. Exactly. So let me also ask, with your upcoming book release, and you're about to send out ARCs tomorrow, which is super exciting. Are you planning anything fun to celebrate 10/10, your book?
Yeah, Stacy and I are booked that night, so we will have a guest on our show because it's a Friday. I didn't even think about it, but so no, but I think I'm like doing something the day before. I can't remember. I think I'm going on somebody's live or something that week. Yeah, I have, but yeah, no, I'll be having we have 2 guests on our show, so that's how I'll be celebrating.
Well, I mean, also, it could be a reward yourself of a fancy dinner afterwards, or, going to a movie that you've been wanting to see. There's ways to celebrate the fact that you made that accomplishment, because it's not a quick turnaround thing. This takes, months and for some people years to, release a new book. So always just take that moment, pause, and give yourself.
It's funny. I give the same lecture to the authors that I interview, and I'll be like, you should celebrate it. And then I turn around and I don't even do it. So it's like,
no, that's true.
I'll be hanging out with my friends. It's okay,
Yeah, I think I always at least pop on for a live one time during release date, most releases. But yeah, I
might go live earlier in the day. I haven't decided, I feel you get more traction in the evening, but I might hop on for a little bit during the day just to acknowledge it.
I feel like if I'm launching a new book of a series or a standalone, theoretically, I don't have a standalone yet, or wrapping up a series, that's when, I kind of want to do a big thing. But
yes,
in the middle of a series, I just feel like I have so many other projects.
Exactly. It's book 2 and there's going to be 4. So, I'm excited about it and my readers are excited, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you going to plan to do an official cover release? Have you actually revealed your cover yet? Okay, cool. Because I know you said you didn't have
I did just get new I did just get new character art that I have not released yet, that I'm waiting to release that though.
That's exciting. I think if you are able to do character art, that is fantastic. It was one of those things that I just pushed off because it's another expense and all these kinds of things. But as soon as I started doing it for one series, people really I saw definitely a different kind of...
They love it. And I always send character art with my books.
Yeah. That is very smart to do. But let me ask you, since we have about 10 minutes left, and this can be pertaining to anybody else also listening in, this is that perfect time that if you have a topic you wanted to cover that you didn't get covered so far, we can bring up, or is there a question you wanted to ask that you haven't asked? This is that wonderful time to do any or all the above.
Just that, again, like I said, I do have my own live show called Getting Down and Dirty with Jeanette and Stacy. We go live every Wednesday and Friday from 7 to 9 Eastern time. We do have 2 slots. So we're always looking for people that want to come hang out with us. We are booked right now to the end of the year, but we'll be looking for new people. That sign up is in my bio as well. So any bookish people, you should come on. We love, authors, bloggers. Like I said, we had cover models. That was a fun time.
I think that's kind of cool. I've not talked to a cover model. I'm trying to think. No, but it's kind of fun to talk to other people like narrators, and I'm trying to connect with someone who's actually a small print publisher, publishing house, to like get their personal, experiences, POVs about doing that kind of aspect of the bookish community. But it is kind of fun to, branch out to, like you said, the influencers or the bloggers and get just.
We are doing Narrator November, where we have designated all of November. We have a crap load of narrators coming on. So twice a week, there are going to be panels, usually about 4. So I know we've got a good amount, so I'm excited to talk to all the narrators. Yeah, Stacey, she already asked me what genre I would write. I said I didn't know because it always goes to fantasy.
I was going to say, if it wasn't fantasy, I could maybe think about apocalypse or sci-fi, but most likely it would still have some kind of fantasy element.
Mine would still go paranormal. So, if I try to write a cozy romance, there'd be a ghost. I mean, I just know for a fact there would be some magical element.
Well, it's kind of like if I have to put a stamp on it, it's high fantasy at this moment in time. I have one short story that's kind of a urban rural fantasy, whatever to say, set in our world. But outside of that, I like the take me to other places. But they vary. I have the dark side. I have the light and bright. I have the young adult. I have definitely an adult and new adult. I just jump within the whole umbrella of high fantasy.
Well, my current series is young adult, no spice. However, my mafia fantasy that I'm trying to keep as a standalone, I'm going to venture into the spicy territory because it's mafia. So.
Well, I will say this because my husband's been telling every book person that I know or we meet, because he came up with concepts for spicy fantasy, and he keeps trying to nudge me in that direction, and I'm like, no, to the point where I've had other authors get really excited about this book that has no plot, has not been written, and one of them has even found me a ghostwriter for the spicy scenes if I just don't want to do it. And there's a whole group of people being like, do this, and I'm like, I don't know.
A lot of my author friends are dark romance authors, not just Stacy, but TL Hodel. I mean, I have a lot of author friends, but they're all dark romance, so they're all starting to rub off on me. I'm like this light, fluffy little fantasy author. So it's
hey, that it's it's something to consider, I guess.
Yes.
If you're. And
I know you'll help, Stacy. I'll probably send you the chapter, but does this make sense?
Hey, actually, yes. If you have the support in the network, that's a great thing, because especially if you're trying to jump into a new genre or a big subgenre, read it so you know what the readership wants out of that genre and subgenre, but also have authors that kind of are in that help you kind of do your betas and do your arcs and all that kind of stuff, because.
And I'm lucky. I have a lot, and just doing lives and introducing myself and, getting to know other authors. I have a lot of supportive author friends. So I have no doubt, I know I have the support, which is amazing, because as an author, you need connections with other authors. You have to have a support system, because it can be so lonely. You just need, like I said, the characters in your head, no one's going to understand that unless they're another author.
Yeah.
People think we're crazy.
Very true.
It's you hear voices. Yeah, but it's my character.
Don't we all? I mean, it's just how do you express them? I do it through writing.
Exactly.
It's a normal thing. But yeah, no, the quirks of being an author, there's so many. That's fun.
Exactly.
So if there's one thing that you wish you knew earlier on that you've discovered since then, what would that be? That you wish you could have told yourself a year ago or 20 years ago or whatever, you know?
Don't trust everybody. And I'm afraid that, people prey on indie authors, and we all have at least probably one horror story where somebody took advantage of us or took our money. Do your research. And if you don't know, ask. Don't be afraid to ask for help or, recommendations. That's what book talk's here for. Don't be afraid if you're a newbie author and you're looking for an editor and there's an author in your genre, reach out to them and be like, hey, I do you know an editor, a reputable one, because like I early in my career I did come across two scammy editors. One did get some money out of me, the other one I was like, no, obviously. But so I mean, you gotta learn, but do your research and don't trust everybody.
Yeah, that's very good points. And, right now where there's been such an influx of people trying to reach out to authors and writers to help market their book and help do this and
Oh
help
yeah,
do
if they're
that. And
if they're messaging you, no.
just like the amount of days I wake up and like open my email for my website and I'm just like delete, delete,
Yep.
delete. To the point where I had another author reach out to me and was asking me questions about the fact that I was just at Dragon Con and learning out things, and then paused and he was just like, thank you for responding, because at this point I'm just being so inundated that I'm not even looking at it most of the time, and it's hard to figure out if people are even going to pay attention for the genuine question or the genuine person out there that's trying to reach out to you, and it's tough.
Exactly.
It's definitely tough. But yeah, I like that. For me, I was like to say, my recommendation always was start marketing your book even before it's published, and not necessarily do a tell all, but like build your platform, build your connections, build a following by just talking to, just generally, I'm here, I'm trying to learn, I'm in the writing thing, because you will build again that community early on, and not do what I did where I just released a book, waited 2 years, and I was like, why? Why isn't anybody finding my beautiful book that also needed a different cover? Why?
I did get that advice and I did start that. I did jump on here, like I said, 2 years before I even released it. And thankfully I did, or I'd probably still be sending query letters to this day, like, why are you not taking my book? But, yeah, you got to build your platform and just start small. Like I started doing book reviews for other authors. Before I became an author, I was a reader and I was doing book reviews, and that's how I built my platform. And then I moved on to doing lives. So, you do what you can in the bookish community. Do what you feel comfortable doing to help build your platform.
Okay, so based on the themes of your series, again, these are Arthurian legends, I bet you may have one, but like I bet out there somewhere you can find a sword in the stone pen, and it's the pen, and I feel like that would be a fun prop to have on your table at book events, and be like, I will sign with Excalibur, or I will sign.
I love that. I'm writing that down. This is why I always keep pen and paper with me when I do live. That's a great idea to even look up Sword in the Stone pen.
I feel like
I do have an author friend of mine. When I released my first book, she made me this, and it's got the sword. It's got a sword. It's also got my book cover. She made little mini books for me.
Oh, I love that.
And the sword, it keeps moving. Here we go. Here's the sword, like a little. Where are you at? There we go.
I love that.
It's like a little keychain.
I love that. Cute. Yeah, I love when I see those little miniature book covers, but I am not patient enough to figure out how to do that.
I know somebody that will hook you up. My other T.S. Tappan, she's an amazing author, but she makes them. This is the other size I have. She made these for me. She even made me my little bookshelf. I'm hoarding them. Like, she told me she'll make me more. She's like, you can share them. I'm like, but I love them. I need to get book 2 made, but she's reasonably priced and she loves to do this. Like, she gets so excited. There she is. I swear she knows when I'm talking about her. Yes,
That's
Taylor.
so funny.
I'm telling her about your mini books and how you love to make them. And she might need some mini books done. And then I need some for book 2.
So I write it is like so cute.
She's like, give them away, but I love them so much. I'm like, I hate to share them. I still have like a bunch.
I understand. Like sometimes I've made things like with the idea that I would either put them in like a big book basket for something, but then whatever they are, I like them so much, and I'm like, no, this is mine.
Well, I need other books. And Tara, you can help me out with that. Like, I can't have an empty bookshelf. I need books to fill them, so I can't get rid of these until I get other books to fill them. That's my logic.
No,
But no, T.S. Tappan, she will hook you up. She does them. She's very reasonably priced, and she's just, I love her. So
you and with your group of author friends that are on here should all get your mini books made and then swap them. So then you can show all your, all the books, every time you're talking about, oh, this is my friend's book. It is a little mini.
that's true. If Stacy had all of hers made, hers would fill up my bookshelf. You're right.
Yeah. Let's see what books we can put in there. I see. I like this. But yeah, no, that's a cute one. But yeah, the Sword in the Stone book, it has to exist, and it
has to. I'm gonna find it.
It doesn't take up a lot. I feel like that would be perfect for you.
I think that's brilliant. I wrote it down. I'm sure it's on Etsy somewhere.
Yeah, I also would say Etsy or the Zon. Etsy, I like to support the local artists and craftsmen if at all possible, and I can afford it. That's my
Same. Yes.
With that said, it looks like the hours were pretty much wrapped up. So what I would like to ask one last time, if anybody has any final questions, comments, this is that time to do so. And outside of that, do you have any announcements or anything outside of 1010 that you want to talk about, before the end of the live?
No, like I said, just that the arcs are going out tomorrow, which I'm very excited about that. So if there's still time, if anybody wanted to be a part of the arc, I do have the new character art that I'll be unveiling. So just that, it's all about, we're down to that final month before release. So it's all about release.
And events. Don't forget events.
Oh, yes. And Chaos. Oh, yeah. I have, Chaos in the Carolinas. Actually, I have November 1st, if you're anywhere near Troutman, North Carolina, the coffee shop here is called Your Coffee Place, is having a holiday author signing. And we have some amazing authors coming to that. I will be in South Carolina on October 18th it's a bookstore and a wine. It's like a wine and bookstore under the cover bookstore in South Carolina. I think that's all I have coming on the rest of this year.
I love that concept of a wine bookshop. So
right?
We need more of those. I mean, I love my coffee, but then once the certain time of the day hits, then I want to switch to other things, respectively, depending on the day. I understand, but like
exactly. Though my coffee shop also serves wine slushies, which if you didn't, that's a thing, and it's delicious.
Yes. Thank you for the gifts. But no, fantastic. And you sound like you're keeping just as busy, or if not busier than I am, in very just different ways. So that is exciting. And it's a great way, and you're taking so much advantage of the fact that you are still relatively a new author, and you are definitely setting yourself up for the win far better than I did. I literally did publish my book and wait almost 2 years wondering why.
Well, like I said, you need to come hang out with me and Stacy on our live. We have a great time. We'd love to have you. We do 2-hour slots if you want it all to yourself, or you can bring a friend, or just have 1 hour. We'll come hang out with us.
I love that. Yes, I have that noted, and if I can translate my scribbled notes, because I kept turning it throughout the live and not paying attention.
I know the feeling.
Then yes, I would love to do that and plan for one at some.
All right, and my girl Miss T.S. Tappan does a vodcast. Which, by the way, I told your co-host to send me that link, because I need to be getting on y'all's show too.
Yay! I love that. See, networking. Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what I will say to everybody, thank you so much for hanging out for this past hour or so, and really
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And I hope to next time be on the flip side and hang out
Yes,
with
you
you
will
in
definitely. It'll be a
person
good time.
a little while. And if you ever want to do another one of these, let me know. And I can always try multiple. I always forget I can do like multiple people. It's just I'm so used to doing all these one-on-ones. We can always do that at some point as well. But I do need to head out and take care of my dogs. It is at 8 o'clock hour. And until next time, have a wonderful rest of your
Thank you
evening.
so much. I appreciate it. Good night, everybody.